Hi everybody, it's Ashley. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be doing an author deep dive with Ruth Ware. I did do a ranking video for her books a couple of years ago, but she has released a couple of new books since then, and I want to just have an updated list because she is one of my absolute favorites. I love her, and I really want to share my experience with you guys. As of right now, we currently have 7 books that have been published. There is another one that is due out in June, which I am completely excited for. I can't wait. And I know technically, since that book is being published this year, I should probably hold off on this video until it comes out. But you know what? We're going to roll with it and we're going to do it now because I don't want to wait. And I also plan on rereading hopefully all of these books before that one comes out. Maybe not her 2 newest ones, but all the other ones, I want to reread them. So this just is kind of getting me pumped for that. I'm going to go in publication order. First, we have In a Dark, Dark Wood, which was released in 2015. In a Dark, Dark Wood, we follow Nora, who has received a mysterious email asking that she attend the hen party of her childhood best friend, Claire, who she has not spoken to in 10 years. And this email kind of rubs her the wrong way. She feels strange about it. And she doesn't understand why she's been invited, considering they're not that close of friends anymore. She hasn't talked to the woman in 10 years. And she has all of these weird vibes about it, but she can't really explain where they're coming from. So she contacts another one of their friends from childhood who got the same email, and she admits that she kind of felt the same way too, that she thought it was a little strange, but they make a pact. If one goes, the other one will go. So they go to this hen party, and it is set in a remote cabin that is made almost entirely of glass out in the middle of the woods in the wintertime. It's really spooky, nostalgic vibes, and all of this weird stuff starts to go down. Okay. I will link the review that I did for that book back then down below for you. But I will say this, for a debut book, I do think that this was done well. She does a very good job of laying out the groundwork and making it spooky with the atmosphere. You feel exposed to the world with all these glass walls, feeling like anybody could look in at you, but you can't necessarily see them. And it's like, I had the heebie-jeebies right along with our main character on that. So I thought that that was very well done. There were definitely flaws with this book, but that is to be expected with any debut. Particularly, I felt that the ending was pretty predictable, and that's not something I'm typically used to with Ruth Ware because she's typically very, very good with plot twists, but that one just kind of fell flat. It's like I saw it coming very early on, and it played out pretty much the same way that I imagined that it would as well. Still a very good book. I will say this. I don't dislike any of her books, but this is one that I don't feel displays her best work, but for a debut, it is very impressive. Next up, we have The Woman in Cabin 10, which was released in 2016. And in this, we follow a woman who does have a little bit of a drinking problem, and she goes on this cruise for her company in the place of her boss, mainly because she's got some problems going on at home that she's trying to escape from and not deal with. And when she gets on this cruise, she makes friends with the woman next door in the next cabin, and one night hears some noises, hears a splash in the ocean, and now this woman is gone. And she reports to the authorities that somebody has been attacked and thrown overboard, and they give her the shocking news that there is nobody in that cabin. The person that had booked that cabin did not make it on board. So This book kind of plays with your head a lot in the fact of, is she an unreliable narrator? Is she imagining these things? Is it a stowaway? Is the management of the cruise lying to her for whatever reason? It was very intriguing. It was very well done. I liked the isolated setting of it a lot. It's really my type of thing. I love isolated settings. They just really hit me a certain way. And I felt like this one was done particularly well. Loved the characters. I loved the intrigue of it. And the twists, man, they just hit me and they just keep on going. I will link my review for that book down below for you so that you can go and check that out. And I highly recommend this one. The next book is The Lying Game, which was released in 2017. We follow a group of girls who were roommates at a prestigious academy, and they have kind of like a mysterious past, and some things are happening with them now once they have a reunion. One of their friends, who was basically the queen bee, sends out like a mass text saying, "I need you," to everybody in the group, and they all drop everything and run to her. And this follows the mystery of why she is calling them, and it ends up being connected to something from their past. This one, I will say that the beginning of it I felt was very long and stretched out. I wasn't even really sure what the mystery was supposed to be. I really wasn't sure what the point of it was. It was very slow, and I wasn't feeling it. The second half of it did get a lot better, and like the twists I felt were good. It took a long time getting there, but it did end up being satisfactory and kind of giving, ending everything with a bang, but it took so long to get there. And for that reason, I do not think this is one of her better works. And next up, we have The Death of Mrs. Westaway, which was released in 2018, and it was my first Ruth Ware, so it will always hold a special place in my heart. I absolutely love this one. And in The Death of Mrs. Westaway, we are following a young woman named Hal who is down on her luck. She owes some money to some loan sharks. She is in a very bad financial situation, and she receives a letter out of the blue stating that her grandmother has died, and she is the sole, and that she has inherited like this manor and all of this property. But there's one little thing. She does not believe this is actually her grandmother because her own grandmother has already died, but she has the same name as the woman who has inherited the property, and she decides to go with it because she needs the money. And she goes to this house, meets these people, learns all of these stories, and a age-old mystery begins to unfold itself. This is so very good. It is creepy. It is atmospheric. It's got like a gothic feel. It's like a very gothic, mansion-y type of thing. It is very, very, very good. It like had the hairs on my arms raised up the entire time. It was such a fun read. The twists in this were, oh my God. I loved this book. It really was something special, and I highly, highly recommend it. The next book is The Turn of the Key, which was released in 2019, and it remains my favorite Ruth Ware as of this point. In The Turn of the Key, we follow Rowan, who has answered an ad for a live-in nanny for this family out in the countryside. But here's the catch. This house is not an ordinary house. It is very unusual, and it's like half smart house, half modern. It's very, very strange the way the architecture is done. And the parents pretty much take off the minute she arrives. They don't train her. They don't give her a chance to get comfortable with the children. They just peace out. They're like, I'm gone. And they do leave her with a binder full of instructions, but it's like she's basically left to figure everything out on her own. And all of this weird stuff starts happening in this house. She starts hearing footsteps and weird music. The speakers, because remember, it's a smart house, keep going on and off, blasting. The children are acting really, really weird. It is so creepy. This is a retelling of The Turning of the Screw. So if it sounds familiar to you, that is why. But I loved this, and I loved the twist. This is one of the all-time best thriller twists, in my opinion. It was amazing. I was left at the end of this book with my mouth hanging open the first time that I read it. And when I read it the second time, even though I knew that that was coming, I had the same reaction. I knew it was coming, and it still hit me the same way. So I highly recommend this one. If you like the haunted house, spooky, atmospheric vibes, creepy kids, this is right up your alley. It is so good. Okay, and the next book is One by One, which was released in 2020. And in this one, we follow a group of people who go to this mountainside resort on a business retreat after promoting a new product that they have put together. It's kind of like it's like a music app type of thing. And they get stranded by this massive snowstorm and start getting picked off one by one. I believe this was the book that people started comparing Ruth Ware to Agatha Christie with. It's when I started seeing it, and I could kind of see it for that way, the way that this setup is, and the way the characters are, and like the bam, bam, bam. So it's like I could see it in that way, but her style is completely different, and this was gorier than most of her books would be. I mean, it was more graphic in detail. It didn't really feel like Ruth Ware in a lot of ways. Like, it did. I mean, it was clearly like, it was her style, and it still had like the twists that she is so good at, but just content-wise, it felt like it was different, almost like she was testing out something new. And I'm not really sure if it was like the right move for her, but it was still enjoyable if you like a slasher type of a book. And next we have The It Girl, which was released in 2022, and I did a review on this very recently. And in this, we follow Hannah and a dual timeline, 10 years before, present day. And she went to Oxford University, and in her days at Oxford, her roommate April is murdered. And Hannah's testimony put away this man named John Trevor. And now, 10 years later, new evidence is coming to light that he was possibly innocent all along. And now Hannah is doubting herself, and she is trying to reinvestigate everything on her own to try to find out what really happened and give herself some peace of mind. I thought this one was really, really good. It was one of the more divisive ones in the community. I noticed I saw a lot of people that loved it, but I also saw a lot of people that didn't. I will say it was kind of long, and it was a slow burn, but I felt like the payoff was completely worth it. I liked the characters. I liked the character relationships, and I enjoyed, yet again, the twists. I thought this was a very, very good book, and I was so excited to have another Ruth Ware under my belt. Okay, so now I'm going to discuss my personal rankings for these books. In seventh place, I would say The Lying Game. I really wasn't crazy about this one. I wouldn't say that I disliked it, but I very, very closely came to disliking it. I didn't like the beginning. Like I said, it felt pointless. It didn't seem to have a whole lot of direction. It was just these girls getting together and visiting and talking, and it didn't really seem like it had a point until probably about the 50% mark, and then it really, really picked up, and then it intrigued me, and it got me hooked, and it saved the book. But that beginning part, I still cannot get over that. In sixth place, I would say that goes to In a Dark, Dark Wood. As I said, I felt that this was a strong debut, but she has done much better since then. We have really seen her writing improve, and this book really showcases how far she has come, because it is not the strongest. It showed a lot of potential, and we did see that as her writing progressed. But it wasn't perfect. It was flawed. It still had a lot of issues, and so I would rank it well below all of these others, but again, I still do not think that it is a bad book in any way, shape, or form. In fifth place, I would put One by One. I know it's one of the more recent ones, but I wasn't as crazy about it as some of her other ones, simply because it just didn't feel like Ruth Ware to me. It did feel like she was trying to experiment with something new than she typically does. I believe this was the first time that we saw her. It might have even been the only time that we saw her character POVs shift with more than one character. And I just felt like it would have been a stronger story had it stuck to one POV and maybe not had as many deaths. It felt way too slashery and gory to be Ruth Ware, because she's always been more suspenseful than horror, and I felt like this book was really trying to push the boundaries into horror. But it's just all a matter of personal taste. It's still a very good book, but I just didn't feel it was one of her strongest. In fourth place, we have The Woman in Cabin 10, which was absolutely incredible. I still love that isolated feeling. She was so good at it. She was so good at the plot twist. This one really, really hit home for me. I enjoyed every minute of it, and it was such an enjoyable experience that I would read a million times over. In third place, we have The It Girl. I just, like I said, I really, really loved this one. It was one of my favorites. I know it wasn't for everybody, and I can kind of understand why, but for me, this just checked all of the boxes of something that I'm looking for, and I felt like it was a huge improvement from One by One and kind of went back to form. Second place, we have The Death of Mrs. Westaway. I feel like this one is very underappreciated. I don't hear a whole lot of people talk about it. When I do hear people talk about it, it's good things. I have never heard a negative review of this book, but it still doesn't get talked about a whole lot. And I don't know if that's because it was earlier on in her career. But I personally think it's one of the best. It's the most atmospheric. It was the most gripping, the most mysterious. It had probably the best, not the best twist. The Turn of the Key had the best twist. But it fit everything, and it was so good, and it was so well done. And I just couldn't get enough of it. So, of course, that means that the number one spot goes to The Turn of the Key, not only for that amazing plot twist at the end, oh my God, especially the last page. Like, you can't do that to a reader, but it's okay. That is okay. I'm not angry at it. It was very well done. She knew how to really get us in the feels, and it was just such an enjoyable experience. Most people seem to agree this is her best book. She just was she was at the top of her game, pulling out all the stops, and it really, really showed. She does haunted houses well, and I would like to see another one. Hopefully soon. That would be awesome. All right, so that is all that I have for you guys today. If you like this video, please make sure to subscribe, like, comment, follow me on the social medias, click that bell if you want to be notified of all of my upcoming videos, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.